Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Buffalo Sports Center video. I am Don. With me today is Cal, and today we are going to predict the Bills' 2022 schedule game by game in excruciating detail. Cal, how are you feeling today about this?
Feeling good. I'm very excited about this, upcoming NFL season. This has been the most excited I've been for an NFL season in my entire life. I, 100% believe we're winning the Super Bowl this year. Last year it was somewhat. The year before, not really at all. This year's the year. I'm calling it right now. I feel like we're going to the Super Bowl. It's destined to happen. It's our time. Tired of losing to the Chiefs. We're getting it done.
I think so too. I expect to see a lot of dubs in it. Let's waste no further time and get straight to week one. This is the season opener kickoff special. The Bills are heading to LA to face off against the Super Bowl reigning champs, the LA Rams. It's Von Miller's old team. How do you expect this game to shake up?
This game is going to be absolutely incredible. Bills opening the NFL season against the Rams. I think we win this game. I think, it's going to start off a little shaky. The Rams are going to be, ready to go. They're going to have, the big ceremony before the game. They're going to be pumped. They're going to want revenge against, Von Miller per se. They're just going to be amped and ready to go. They're going to get up on us by, maybe 14 points or so. But I think the Bills come storming back, and I think we end up winning by at least 7.
I think so too. I expect a Bills dub. They're going to come out. They usually start seasons very well, except for last season. It was a little tricky with that whole Steelers game. But before that, they've always been undefeated year after year in the opening game of the season. I expect under the primetime lights on NBC, the Bills pull out a very late dub over I almost said the Chiefs, the Rams. Yeah, and they get an 11-day layover going into week 2, Monday Night Football at home in Orchard Park against the Tennessee Titans. I expect an L here, okay? I don't know about you, but I'm expecting an L.
Yep, you read my mind. I feel like this is just going to be your typical game against the Titans that we've seen in the last few years. I think, we're going to be amped like the Rams were week 1. I think we're going to be ready to play. We're going to come out and get quite a big lead. But I think Derrick Henry's just going to eat us up. I don't know if we have the defensive scheme to stop him. We haven't really proven ourselves against a guy like Derrick Henry. And, Ryan Tannehill, you could say what you want about him, mediocre QB, but he gets the job done when he plays against us. And for a while there, we seem to beat the Titans all the time, but these last few years have been tough, and I think it continues. I'm predicting a loss here.
Yeah, I agree with that. Mainly for the same reasons. You mentioned Derrick Henry. I don't think he's going to be as good as he's been in the last couple of seasons, but he always somehow pulls a rabbit out of his ass and he's a one-man show. Over the last 2 games, I think he's had over 120 yards in each of those games. He's been incredible against the Bills, and I expect that trend to continue early on in the season. Now, the Bills head down to South Beach. They play Miami Dolphins. They have some new weapons, let's say, down there. They got Tyreek Hill. They have Jalen Waddle. They have a lot of speed. And of course, they have Tua, Mr. Rocket Arm Tua Tagovailoa. How do you expect this game to go out?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Tyreek Hill, that is a huge weapon that Miami has. But that being said, I don't think Tua is good enough to really beat the Bills defense at all. Point blank, he's just not as good of a QB as, some Miami fans think he is. And, that could just be me as a Bills fan, overlooking him. Hopefully the guy does turn into a solid QB, but right now I don't see him as a solid QB. I think we win this game. I truly do. I think, I'm not going to spoil any more picks, but I do think we have success against the division this year, and I think we beat Miami this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Tagovailoa, he's just, until he shows us, it's like Josh Allen. Josh Allen was a bust in years 1 and kind of 2. He didn't really play that well. He was surrounded by a very good organization. I'm not sure that Tua has that down in Miami, but he has definitely not lived up to expectations, and he's going to have to prove it before anybody backs him, especially against a serious contender like the Bills. And I can't believe we're even saying that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is weeks 1 through 3, okay? That is gone. Let's bring up weeks 4 through 6 now. And let's get your predictions. What do you think is going to happen when the Bills go to Baltimore? We haven't been there in a couple years, and we face off against the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, it's been a while since we played Baltimore. Some memorable games in the past. Obviously, the big playoff game, Taron Johnson, pick six. Then there was the game, with the regular season, the home game where we came all the way back. Me and you were actually at that game, and came all the way back and then lost at the end. But I do think we win this game. I think the Bills' defense has gotten better from last season. I think they'll handle Lamar, perfectly. I don't really think he, pushes us too much. And I think our offense just explodes this game. I have us winning this game by around 14 points.
I think that the Bills also win. People on the screen, you're going to be seeing my prediction go up a little sooner. And that's because it usually, so far, it's been the same as Cal's. We have the same games going in the dub category for the Bills. And once again, it's because of quarterback play. Josh Allen is just a better quarterback. That's plain and simple than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, he's not going to really have that many weapons. Who's his top wide receiver so far? Rashad Bateman? Really?
Yeah.
Mark Andrews is always a threat, though. He's constantly a threat. And Lamar Jackson with his legs, he's one of the best running backs. He's one of the best running quarterbacks.
Okay, we got to go there. But yeah.
Oh, Baltimore fans, if they're watching, they're going to be seeing me and like, whoa. But one thing that I think is going to happen this game is going to be very tight defensively because Baltimore's defense criminally underrated going into this offseason. I haven't seen much chatter around that. That unit, with some of the draft picks they made this offseason, and some signings too, they got Marcus Williams to back up the secondary. It's a great secondary on paper. I still like the defensive line, and John Harbaugh, he's always an excellent coach. The fact that they got 8 wins out of that injury-riddled team last season is that just shows how good that coaching staff is, and because of that, you can never count them out of a game like this.
Yeah, team's definitely solid. The defense is solid, but I do think we see a little controversy in that offense. Hollywood Brown traded. Lamar was not happy about that whatsoever. No. So, an interesting storyline to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And week 5, the Bills come back to Orchard Park. It's a rematch of last season's opening game against Mitch Trubisky and the Pittsburgh Steelers. We assume that Mitch Trubisky is going to be the starting quarterback by this point. Of course, Kenny Pickett is around the corner, but I think they're going to ease him into the job.
Yeah.
I'm just going to come right out and say it. I think the Bills get their revenge. TJ Watt can go down in Bills lore as one guy that we finally vanquished. I think the Bills get a dub here.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think this is, an easier game on the schedule for the Bills. I do think Pittsburgh has a solid roster, and, seeing that stat that they haven't made the postseason in, the last, I believe 5 years is kind of crazy to believe, because Tomlin has had such success there, but overall, I do think this is a pretty easy win for the Bills. And it's crazy saying this, as a Bills fan, because all these years, these, against mid-range teams, the lower-range teams would be like, could be a win, could be a loss. Now we just breeze right through. So it feels good.
It does. It certainly does feel good. And there are plenty of questions on the Pittsburgh's offense. I don't really see too many weapons giving the Bills defense a good run for its money. The Bills defense, they really did improve this offseason. Von Miller and the defensive line, you would think it's finally going to take a step forward. Of course, Greg Rousseau is going to be in his second year. Same with Boogie Basham, who, while we didn't see too much of last season, he showed some good cameos here and there. Of course, the secondary, maybe. You never know what's going to happen with Jordan Poyer. That's something to watch out for. And I do think that the Bills are going to outscore eventually the Steelers. They're not going to be able to keep up, and the Bills get a dub there. Let's move on now. This is the game, the rematch from the divisional game back in January. The Bills are going back to Arrowhead to face off against Patty Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to be another high-scoring game, and I'm going to come right out and say it. The Bills are taking an L here.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to, first time today, I'm disagreeing. I think the Bills are red hot. I think they're ready for revenge, and they absolutely, I don't want to say smoke the Chiefs, but I think they put a ton of points up on them. I do think it'll be a close game, but I think they put 50+ points up. It is going to be a crazy offensive game. I think much like we saw in that divisional round, the defenses are going to kind of implode. Let it be a very offensive game. And yeah, I think Josh Allen prevails. And I do know, coming up, we got, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen teaming up and, the golf capital on the match.
The match.
They're going to be enemies this week. And they're going to play a heck of a football game, but I do have the Bills winning.
Let me explain why I think the Bills are losing. Number one, it's going to be a very hostile environment. Number two, the Bills, whether we want to believe it or not, in the big games last year, they didn't show up. And by that very logic, you would assume the Bills would lose to the Rams and the Titans, and I have the Bills losing to the Titans and the Chiefs. I just don't think that the Bills are going to be able to hold on, even though Tyreek Hill was gone and he was fantastic last season, or in that playoff game. Travis Kelce, he's still there. Juju Smith-Schuster, he's very good. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, he can put the top off on a defense. I just think that the Chiefs did an excellent job. They lost Hill, but they reinvested in their wide receiver core very well, and I like what they've done with that. Their defense, still a lot of question marks there, but defense didn't really matter last year. It was who blinked first, and the Bills blinked first, and I see it happening again. Unfortunately, it just is what it is, And let's very quickly now, we move on to the next part of our schedule, and it starts off rather quiet. The Bills have a bye in week 7, unfortunately, so no Bills football there, but they immediately come back, and it's with another prime time game against the Green Bay Packers. Cal, how do you see this Sunday night game working out for the Bills?
Initially, when I saw this game on our schedule, I saw we had to play the Packers. Davante Adams was still a Packer, so I was very nervous about this game. I thought it might have been a loss, but since he went to the Raiders, this game has become a complete ease off. I'm really feeling like the Bills are going to win this game. Just because Rodgers is an incredible QB. We all know that he can really just take over games. He's getting older. You would think maybe this season he starts to fall off a little bit at least. And I really do think the Bills roster is just, so good this year, so talented, so experienced, playoff after playoff after playoff. I just think this is going to be our year. I have us winning this game. I have us winning a lot of big games this year. So I'm going to leave it at that win.
I think that the Bills are going to come back from their loss against the Chiefs recharged and better than ever, and I agree. We are back on the same page. Bills are going to get a dub here in Week 8 over Aaron Rodgers. And if you can name Green Bay's top wide receiver off the top of your head right now, I will give you $5. Go. You got 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8. Okay. See, it's my point.
Yeah,
it's my point. You don't know who Aaron Rodgers is really throwing the ball to. And, that may be ignorant on us because anybody can step up. It's a next man up kind of league. But when you go from Davante Adams to a nobody, no offense, they are nobodies. It's such a severe drop-off. Before, Rodgers just threw it up there and expected that Davante Adams would come down with that ball. Now you don't really know what you have. I think they'll figure out what they have by Week 8, but it probably won't be as good as it was before. Now, yeah I don't think it will. Moving on now to Week 9, it's against the Jets. This is a win, right? Has to be.
Yeah, easy win. The Jets had that, like I said in the draft video, an incredible draft. I really do think they're starting to turn the page a little bit. If they could really, solidify, their franchise QB, Zach Wilson. Hopefully for them that he starts performing good. But yeah, I have this game as a win.
I agree because they're just not even close to the Bills' level of play right now. Even though in Week 18 they did give the Bills a bit of a heart attack a little bit there. We're all like, huh? No, it's not meant to be because Zach Wilson, he's still very raw. He's going to take those next little baby steps. The defense, I do like what they've done. They've certainly added to that. But the Bills are just supremely better in every single facet, okay? It is what it is, but the Jets are where the Bills probably were, I'd say 2018. They're still very early in their rebuild. So let's move on now to another slate of games. It begins Week 10 against the Minnesota Vikings. And not a lot of people are talking about this game. It's very intriguing, in my opinion.
Yeah, obviously we think Bills versus Vikings. First thing that comes to my head, obviously as a young fan, would be the hurdle, kind of the play that made Josh Allen famous. That game was incredible. You know, that was a turner for sure. For a lot of fans were like, okay, this guy might actually be legit. This team might actually be legit. And it started this crazy event where now we're sitting here talking about a top three team in football.
Yeah.
But with that out of the way, I do think the Bills win this game. Obviously, the storyline with Diggs, all that, the Jefferson, I guess technically we could have drafted him. So it's, interesting trade storyline there. Both teams made out good, but I do think we win this game.
I agree. I think we get the dub here, and it's mainly because of Minnesota's defense still not being very strong. They're not a great unit. They lost and choked to Detroit last year, and they should have wrapped that game up. They changed out coaches, Mike Zimmer out, and I still don't think it's gonna work out for them. They're gonna massively underachieve again. Kirk Cousins overpaid again. Dalvin Cook, he's going to be underrated and on a losing team again. I think that James Cook is going to get the upper hand over his brother that day, and the Bills get out of Week 10 with a victory. And I don't know if we can accurately predict this next game because it hinges a lot on Cleveland's quarterback, if he's playing or not, Deshaun Watson. Now, there are rumblings that he could be suspended for maybe 6 games, maybe the entire season. We don't really know at this point. So, because of that, I don't know if we can really. I mean, we can try to predict, but our takes could be massively wrong in a couple
Yeah.
months.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because if Deshaun Watson, let's say hypothetically he gets suspended, do you think Baker Mayfield's really gonna step up and just be like, yeah, I'll play? Because I don't.
I don't think he should. This organization has treated him badly. They threw him out to dust. Some people are. In my head, I kind of drew similarities to the Jack Eichel situation here with the Sabres. Dysfunctional organization, star
Yes.
main man. He's been shafted a little bit, but with Jack Eichel, we knew it was a little more complex than that. And with Baker Mayfield, I'm sure it's more complex than that. But from an outsider's point of view, it appears that despite his some attitude failures, that he's been kind of screwed over by Cleveland. They haven't been really professional about how they handled the whole Deshaun Watson saga. So because of that, I'm not sure he really wants to play ever again for the Cleveland Browns, which it creates a whole hell of problems when trying to predict this game. I still think that the Bills, no matter who is at quarterback, whether it be Deshaun Watson, Jacoby Brissett, Baker Mayfield, I still expect the Bills to get a dub here.
Yeah, I agree. I do think it'll be a win. And, Cleveland's a city much like Buffalo, a lot of failure in the past, usually, fan bases get along. We can relate to each other. And in this situation, I mean, Cleveland's just kind of like turning into kind of like the Sabres were a little bit very dysfunctional, like you said. So we'll see how this one goes. We'll see if that team even makes it through the whole season without imploding. You never know, but I do think this is a win.
If they don't, we still got to watch out, though. Myles Garrett is a home wrecker, game wrecker, whatever you want to call him. He's fantastic. Denzel Ward, fantastic as well. This Browns defense, they kind of underwhelmed last season. I expect them to bounce back this season, but the offense will definitely lag. But you also got to watch out Nick Chubb. Bills struggle against star running backs, so maybe that comes to be a factor here. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
You never know. But a game that I think that has no debate in mind, I think that when the Bills go to Detroit on that early Thanksgiving slot, we will get a very easy dub.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I usually like to root for Detroit on Thanksgiving. They're usually the underdogs, coming in, playing either some other bum team or, maybe a team like the Cowboys or something. I usually like to root for them, but, this year we're going to have to root for our Bills, of course. I do think it's an easy win. Detroit usually plays, close games on Thanksgiving, but they always seem to foul. So yeah, we're gonna call a win here.
Yeah, I expect a win as well. They're just nowhere close to the Bills level right now. Nowhere close. I think that they really need to get themselves going again. They tried getting. I don't know if you saw these rumors. They offered a first and a third for Debo Samuel, so that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And their idea, their thinking is right that they do need to upgrade their wide receiver position, but they got St. Brown. I forget his first name. I can't remember. It started with an A. Can't remember what it was. It's off the tip of my tongue, but whatever. St. Brown, he's a very good wide receiver for them. Their
It's like
running back,
Amara St. Brown or something.
Amara St.
Something like that.
I
It's
I don't
let's just funny story with them. They're brothers. You have two hard names to say. Their father's actually his name is actually John Brown.
How
It's
did
not. He changed their last name to Saint Brown to make it a little more fancy, and he gave his sons
well
quite unique names. So yeah, interesting situation there.
well, who else was John Brown? Well, the wide receiver and of course the abolitionist turned crazy guy from the Civil War. But I wouldn't want to be the same name as those two guys. You want to be your own guy, not
Yeah.
someone else's John Brown. I get it. But either way, Detroit's gonna lose. Too bad, so sad. Let's move on now. Week 13 against the New England Patriots on Monday Night Football. Kel, how do you see this game turning out?
I think the Patriots are a tricky team to kind of predict. Mac Jones. He could. I've seen enough from Mac Jones where I believe he could be really like a solid QB in the league, but I just don't think they have a good enough roster to beat the Bills this season. So I'm gonna take the Bills here. It is prime time. Maybe we get a little bit of that playoff game action. Who knows if we'll even punt that game? But yeah, I do have the Bills winning this.
I agree. I also have the Bills winning this. Wow, look at all these dubs that I see
Yeah.
that we're predicting right now. I think the Bills win this game. It's gonna be fun in Foxborough. Great game, great atmosphere on prime time. There's no chance, in my opinion, that the Bills lose this one. And watching how many months it is, 5, 6, that the Bills do lose this game. Let's move on now. Week 14, they come back home and face the New York Jets. Much like last time, I think they sweep the Jets for the season
Yep.
series.
Completely agree with that. I think the Jets are a walk in the park compared to most other teams in the league. I do think they, like we said earlier, they have a bright future if they manage it correctly. But right now, nowhere near the Bills' level.
No, absolutely not. And we already discussed. Same things applies to when the first Jets-Bills game. Zach Wilson, unknown. They got a couple nice pieces, but nowhere close to the level of the Bills. Let's move on now. The final, let me check my notes. Not the final, second last divisional game of the season. It's the third straight divisional game for the Bills. It's another home one against the Miami Dolphins in December. How do you expect this game to turn out?
I'm gonna throw out a curveball here. It's gonna be very snowy, in December. I do think we win, before we get too crazy. I do think we win. But I think it's gonna be a very low scoring game. I think this is gonna be one of those ones where it's just very snowy, windy, wet, and I think we win by a field goal, maybe towards the end, a chip shot. So there's my crazy prediction of the year. That's a win. Just kind of like maybe like a 10-7 game, one of those crazy Buffalo games.
Well, I also had this one circled on my calendar as a trap game, and I'm gonna go an L here.
Really?
There's always that one game every season that the Bills somehow lose. Last year was the Jacksonville game. Even though Miami's nowhere close to the level of Jacksonville, they're much better. I think that Miami's gonna stun the crowd. They're gonna pull off an upset victory in December in Buffalo. So now I have 3 losses? Yeah, I have 3 losses predicted here for the Bills. You only have 1 so far. Do you think that's going to change? Maybe.
Yeah, very well could. We'll see here.
Maybe. Let's keep on moving now to our final couple of games for the season. And it begins with Chicago in Week 16. Cal, how do you see this game turning out?
I have this game currently as a win. Chicago, they're a team that hasn't had much relevancy, since the double doink. That I think the Bills, easily walk through this one with their eyes set much in the future. I think by this point they've already, after this win, would clinch the division. I truly think the Bills are going to have a phenomenal year. I have this as a win.
I agree. I think the Bills, while Justin Fields is very good, um, he's doesn't have anything around him. His offensive line is terrible. His wide receiver core is terrible. Nathan Peterman is his backup, so that's got to feel reassuring at night for Bears
Oh,
fans. And yeah, no, oh yeah, Nathan Peterman's gonna beat the Bills in Soldier Field. No, come on, no,
that
never,
would be
not a
fun.
chance. Not that would be a bucket list. If Nathan Peterman beats the Bills, we gotta have like a bet here. If he plays and he beats us, like I can't even imagine. But anyways, both of us agree this is a dub. And let's quickly move on now to the Cincinnati game. And I'm gonna say right now, ooh, this is another one. You don't know. I'm gonna go a dub here. A primetime game late in the season. Let's go dub. Let's go with dub.
Okay, I'm disagreeing. I'm taking the loss here. I think the Bills get a little overzealous, a little over cocky here. I think they're going to try to breeze through the rest of the season, and this is the much needed wake up call. I think Jamar Chase goes off, Burrow goes off. I think Cincinnati's going to have a phenomenal year. I think the Bills lose by quite a few points here. I might go maybe 14. I think it's a much needed wake up call for the Bills as they end the season, and a big motivating factor to go into the playoffs.
I disagree. Obviously, I think the Bills are gonna get a very close W here on Monday Night Football. It's their last primetime game of the season, so they'll certainly be pumped. They'll be getting their swords ready to go for the playoffs. Cincinnati is bound to be in the middle of the playoff race, so you never know what's going to happen. But I think W, you think an L. We'll see what happens. Week 18, it's the season finale against the New England Patriots. Could this potentially have divisional implications?
I'm going to go with no. I'm going to say the Bills have already clinched the division by this point, and I think they put in the backup. So I'm going to say this is an L. I think the Patriots really need this game to solidify themselves, seeding wise, maybe to get that last wild card spot. I think the Bills are already in. I think, maybe Bitcoin Barkley sees the field a little bit. I don't know. Maybe we put in all like the third stringers. We'll see. We'll see at this point in the year. Hopefully this happens where we can afford the loss. I think it's going to be a loss, but for other reasons, more other than talent level.
I ugh, I disagree. I think the Bills are going to actually try. It's always Bill Belichick. You always want to beat him. Fans wouldn't want to see backups out there. I think the Bills, they're going to get the dub, and they will finish the season with 3 consecutive victories. And there you have it, folks. You have seen our game by game predictions over, oh my goodness, 27 minutes. We have predicted
Um,
every single game in excruciating detail. All 18 weeks down. You have it. Archive. Click it. I don't know what you guys do. Clip it. Yeah, clip it. We'll see how this turns out in a couple months. I'm sure we're both gonna be kind of laughing at some of our takes as like last
yeah.
year, but you never know. So, anyways, I was done. This was Cal. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and see y'all in the next video. Peace.